Yay. Full video. Hi. Hi, Jenny. So, your question on dichotomous keys was a great one. Um, so, a dichotomous key is not as hard as it sounds. They can be a little bit intimidating if it's the first time you've ever done one. I like to pretend I am Charlie Darwin out on a boat who sees a new animal for the first time and was like, oh my gosh, I have to write down everything I see. Um, and that's essentially what you're doing is describing um, the organism in front of you so that you can distinguish it from another species. Um, so the purpose of dichotomous key is to allow another person, another scientist, to distinguish one species from another. So for your homework, for your question, you need to distinguish between Archaea and the Protists. So what I would do is look at the different properties of those um, two types of organisms. So you want to look at things like internal cell structure, look at how they reproduce, look at their metabolism, look at their gene structure. These should all be things that you find in your notes in your book, and compare what is different about these two. And what you should see is they are very different. And if you look at a picture of Archaea, you'll see that they are single-celled. They are very, very simple. They do not have membrane-bound organelles. They don't have a nucleus. They are asexual. They have what's called horizontal gene transfer. Versus protists are much more complex. They are also single-celled organisms, but they have membrane-bound organelles. They have a nucleus. They reproduce either sexually or asexually. They have options. They also have linear DNA like we do. So Archaea are prokaryotes. You've probably heard that term at this point. Protists are eukaryotes. This has to do with their level of complexity, their level of their level of genetic complexity. Pardon my dog. So with your dichotomous key, what you're going to do is list character number 1. What are we going to look at? Well, the first property I would say is, do they have that internal cell structure? So 1A, internal cell structure, yes or no? And go from there. What's the next thing you want to look at? And from that point, you can narrow down, is this Archaea? Is this a protist? If you want to choose specific species to look at, you can do that as well. It gets more complicated on the species level, naturally, because you have to look at finer and finer details for individuals. So you might look at the number of flagella an individual protist might have to get around. And remember, a flagella, for those of you, I'm going to attempt to draw on here, so forgive me if this comes out looking poorly. A flagella is the attachment that help it move around. And different critters may have more than one. So if we're talking about a protist, remember it's going to have a nucleus, and it's going to have maybe some other organelles floating around in the cell wall or within the cell membrane. Here, so this could be our protist here, theoretical protist. for our dichotomous key. Okay. Let me know if you have any other questions. I'm happy to help. I hope this was helpful.